Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Cannabis Tech Talks, brought to you by Polyscience. This is Patricia Miller, Managing Editor for Cannabis and Tech Today. We're covering one of my very favorite topics, technology. Some of the hottest areas for innovation in the cannabis space are dabbing and vaping. From laser-powered vaporizers to smart AI-enabled eRigs, it's a sector of the industry that's evolving very quickly. So today I'm sitting down with Pantelis Atoliotis, president of Dr. Dabber, to chat about what's on the horizon for this quickly growing sector. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what were you doing before you started working with Dr. Dabber?
So I come from a background of basically the beverage industry. I was running a coffee distribution company in Europe when I first sort of jumped over to Dr. Dabber. But before that, I was in the alcohol and energy drink industry. So that's sort of my background. I also have a master's degree in addiction psychology. So I, tried to sort of do all that while also going to university to get my degree.
Fascinating. So beverages and psychology, how did you translate that experience to the cannabis tech space?
Well, all my education was very much centered on cannabis because I've been passionate and interested in cannabis since a very young age. And I'm the type of person that I like to know what I'm putting in my body. And so when I was given the opportunity for higher education, I really wanted to focus on that. And that's sort of how my path ended up going into the addiction psychology. So my undergrad thesis was actually on the long-term psychological effects of marijuana. And then, I went on to do the addiction psychology. And it's actually a funny story how I ended up part of this. My partner, Jamie, who's the CEO of the company, he was a professional poker player, and he was playing in Cyprus, where I was working, where my coffee distribution company is. And he actually came to one of my coffee shops, and we hit it off, and we hung out, a bunch when he was there. And then a year or two later, he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I'm thinking starting this business. I have this idea." And, he explained it to me, and I was on board and said, "Yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's go." So here I am.
Interesting. And so are you using your addiction psychology knowledge for good, or to make Dr. Dabber's products really addictive?
Right. Yeah, no, the addiction, obviously, as I'm sure you understand, the addiction psychology degree focused on a lot, it barely touched on marijuana. At that point, it was more on the actual sort of, addictive, harmful substances. So it was not so much beneficial. I'd say my undergrad was a lot more beneficial to what I'm currently doing.
Interesting. Well, I appreciate that. I always think I'm fascinated in the ways that my own education comes up in my daily life, and then other times the way that it doesn't. so I can appreciate having a well-rounded background. I think it's always helpful. The more education you've got, the more useful it is.
For sure. I mean, when you're talking about putting substances in your body, like I said, I mean, certain people might go to, use higher education as a way to get to where they want to be in terms of like a salary or, money. Whereas I used it as a way to educate myself, because I've always been fascinated about, the concept of human beings using substances in any capacity to, alter, their mind or their perspective or, anything like that. So yes, it's useful, maybe not so much in day-to-day business, but in general, it's very useful to have a solid understanding of that sort of thing.
Well, tell me, how have you seen cannabis technology evolve since you started working with Dr. Dabber, and how long have you been with the team?
So we started in 2013. And it has been pretty amazing to see how quickly this market has matured. Obviously, we're in the ancillary, category. We're not directly selling cannabis products in any way. But yeah, it's amazing. In 2013, there were, I don't know, probably 20 different companies selling pretty much the same vaporizer pen. There wasn't a whole lot of innovation happening. It was more so like the consumer base was picking up the concept of an electronic vaporizer for concentrate, rather than, the alternative at that point was a dab rig, right? Which requires the torch, requires, you can't really walk around with it. It's so this convenient portable method really sort of took the market by storm. And since 2013, I mean, it's just been crazy how quickly it's evolved past the sort of standard vaporizer pen into all sorts of incredible products, like you mentioned in the introduction. And we love that. I mean, this is the whole reason we're in this business, is we love innovation. We love to innovate. We feel like we're really living the dream that, everybody sort of from the outside looking in thinks we are, right? Like we're in the lab like all day, every day with we have an amazing product dev team, and we are just trying to come up with new ways, novel ways. We use customer feedback a lot, to try and come up with, interesting ways to push the segment forward. So that is our passion, is, really inventing new things that people haven't seen before.
I can really appreciate that. I think when I first was exposed to dabbing and saw the torch, and it all seemed elaborate and sort of not approachable for me, a little like too intense, and there was too much equipment. And then as I became more familiar with that approach to smoking, now it seems kind of indispensable in my cannabis lifestyle to have, a dab pin or accessories that now are so sleek and portable and discreet. And I think it's really changed the way people think about the ability to ingest cannabis, and especially how they can dab. So I appreciate that what you're doing is kind of pushing that forward. And what do you think that's how Dr. Dabber sort of sets itself apart in this segment?
Absolutely. When it comes to setting ourselves apart from everyone else, I'd say the number one thing that we pride ourselves on is being innovators. Like, for example, the eRig category. We created the category. In 2015, we came out with the very first electronic water filtered rig, which was the Boost. And we also, around that time, I think it was actually 2014, we came out with a heated loading tool, like a heated cutting tool for concentrates. So yeah, we really like to be the people that, sort of create or break ground in our industry. And we're always happy to see our competitors sort of, following suit, because like I said originally, we love the idea of everybody innovating rather than just us, because it pushes us further and pushes the entire segment forward. So yeah, we are innovators. That's what we consider ourselves in this industry.
I'm excited to talk more about this whole sector, and also sort of what's on the current plate for Dr. Dabber and what's next for your team. Let's take a quick sponsor break, and we'll be right back to hear more.
Every cultivator knows that facility design can make or break your grow. So why not choose the team with over 16 years of experience in the industry? Cerna Cultivation Technologies provides floor plan and architectural services, comprehensive HVACD equipment, lighting, and benching, and so much more, all within your budget. It's time to grow your way. Go to Cerna.com, that's SURNA.com, to learn more.
All right, and we're back. So I want to hear more about cannabis technology and how Dr. Dabber is sort of pushing that forward for the eRig segment. I know earlier this year, you released, or Dr. Dabber released a kind of an exciting announcement about the way that you're encouraging engagement from your customers. Can you tell me a bit about your current innovations that Dr. Dabber is releasing?
Yeah, so like I said, we started with the pen in 2013, and our next big thing, quote unquote, was the Boost, which was the first water filtered eRig on the market. And then our next big thing after that was we went to work essentially using customer feedback and our new sort of team of product developers. We have engineers and industrial designers and stuff like that. Between 2015 and 2018, we really spent it in the lab coming up with the Dr. Dabber switch. The Dr. Dabber switch was sort of, next level because it used induction heating, which to a lot of people doesn't mean a whole lot. But the reason why we chose to go with induction heating was purely based on customer feedback. We realized one of the biggest shortcomings of all the eRigs on the market at that time was the fact that the heating element was exposed and had a direct path to the electronics. And so over time and over heavy use, product would leak into the electronics and essentially wreck everything. That is a problem that all of us, including our competitors, still have to deal with to this day. And that's where the switch and the induction heating came in. It was the only method of heating that allowed us to completely seal off the inside electronics from the actual heating element and the dabbing process. And so by doing that, we essentially eliminated the biggest issue that we found with the original eRig. So that was our big innovation, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, you can literally pour water into the top of the switch and turn it on, and it'll boil the water because it's completely sealed off from the electronics. And then there were some other benefits that sort of came along with the induction heating. Like at the time, the industry standard for heat up time on an eRig was around 30 seconds. The switch came out and the heating time was 3 to 5 seconds.
Wow.
Battery life was roughly 30 to 40 uses per charge, industry standard. The switch came out and was 150 uses on a single charge. And so we really nailed it when we released the switch, because it was head and shoulders above anything else on the market at that time. And so from that point on, we've been trying to sort of build more portable vaporizers, because we understand that the switch is sort of big. We call it a desktop vaporizer. It is portable. It does have a battery pack, but it really is more centered to the home user. And so last year we released the Boost Evo, which was the sort of next version of the original Boost. And that's been gaining a lot of traction recently. And we're actually, I wish we were speaking in a week or a week and a half, because we're on the verge of releasing our next product, which I can't really speak about all that much just yet. But it's something that we have developed based on, again, consumer feedback and just what we see is missing in the market. And so, yeah, very, very soon after this interview airs, we will be announcing our next product.
Well, if it helps, this interview might not air for 2 weeks, so feel free to spill the beans.
Okay, well, so what we're releasing the XS. It is our first nano eRig. It is basically as small as we could possibly make it, and it's coming in at a much lower price point. And so we identified that there was really a gap between the $100 vaporizer pen and the $300 or $400 eRigs that are available on the market. And so we sort of looked at the customer feedback and realized that our customers wanted something that was sort of lower cost, smaller, easier to get around with, sort of more basic. And so that's what the XS is planning on tackling, is that segment of people that don't want to spend a ton of money on an eRig and don't need all the features, but want something that's convenient, portable, easy to use, easy to take everywhere. And so that's the idea behind the XS. And so that is the next product that we're releasing.
That's super exciting. I know we featured the Evo, I think earlier this year in our product revolution section for Cannabis and Tech Today. And maybe I can talk with your team about checking out this new product to see if it's something that we can highlight. I just love to see how brands are watching the interaction of their clients with their products, and then evolving the space as they learn new needs and new demands from the real people using them.
Well, yeah, that's something that for us is absolutely paramount to our success, is the fact that, we don't need to guess, what's missing, what could be improved. Like, we have a customer base that's vocal. They're happy to tell us when we're doing a good job, when we're not doing a good job, how they would change our products. And, a lot of companies maybe don't pay as much attention to that. But for us, I mean, it's the most important information, and it's free, right? Like, it's coming from our customers. It's like like you said, the people that know the product, that have used it. It's very different when, a reviewer sort of takes a product and tries it for a couple days and then writes a review. That's one thing. But for a consumer that's been using products, and some of them have been using, multiple products of ours for years, that feedback is invaluable to, future product dev, because it's that combined with our own experiences really helps us remedy any, issues or identify any improvements we can make to the product when we're sort of creating the next rendition.
And how do you gather that information? Are you getting emails? Are you sending out questionnaires?
Yeah, so we work closely with the customer service team, and they're aware. I mean, they're sort of trained from day one to understand that, our company has sort of an open door policy. If you're hearing, certain things from customers, we want to know about it, whether it's praise, whether it's negative, whatever it may be. We put out surveys, we do beta testing. We take care of customers that, if a customer has been a repeat purchaser for years, we may send them an early access product and ask them for feedback, which is actually what we're currently doing with the excess. We have a few units out in the wild with customers, and we're sort of giving them a trial run to get some feedback for ourselves. So yeah, we use all sorts of different methods, but it is very central to our product development in general.
I appreciate that. And I know Dr. Dabber is also working on some, and I guess it's happening right now, but to me, it still seems forward looking, but Web3 and NFTs, I think it was in May of this year, you started talking about doing something called token gating. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is part and parcel for how we look at things. We always want to be on the bleeding edge of what's going on in technology, because at the end of the day, we are an electronics company, right? So we need to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on. So yeah, when it comes to Web3 cryptocurrency, it's definitely something that's going to seriously shape our future in ways that a lot of people don't understand yet. And so in terms of token gating is one of the sort of very basic functions of, an NFT, which we wanted to showcase, not only to, encourage adoption of this new technology, but also to let people know that, we are passionate about knowing what's going on around us. So basically, the way that token gating works is if you have a specific NFT, like for example, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is one of the biggest NFT projects in the world. If you have a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, you can connect your Ethereum wallet to our website to verify that you own that NFT. And if you own that NFT and it's verified, then you automatically get 25% off our entire site for life.
Cool.
So, and we've partnered with a couple other sort of cannabis centric NFT projects like Crypto Cannabis Club, just again to provide their holders with the token gating, and then to give them the opportunity to sort of feel like they're part of our, our company, they're part of our circle, and just sort of giving back to those people that are like-minded. And that's, like I said, that's just a very basic function of the way NFTs work, but it's a very cool, it's a very cool use case to show people. And I believe we're one of the first companies on Shopify to introduce this technology as well, which is cool.
I love that. I think it encourages engagement, and like you said, it's a way of kind of signaling, we're all on the same page. We're looking to this next iteration of technology and of how to use the web as a tool to connect with each other, and as a way to appreciate new art forms, and to advance, different sectors like the cannabis space. So I can appreciate that you're connecting with your clients that way. I think that's pretty unique.
Definitely.
So what do you think is on the horizon for Dr. Dabber? What's next in terms of big projects?
Well, first of all, the announcement from the president last week is obviously very intriguing for us. Being in the cannabis industry, even as an ancillary product, has been relatively difficult due to federal regulations. Obviously, we can't use PayPal. We've been cut off from payment processors. We've, struggled with getting financing from banks purely because of the fact that, we are either tagged as a cannabis product or an e-cigarette for tobacco, which is sort of frustrating. So this is very intriguing and very exciting for us. We're watching this with bated breath, seeing what's going to happen and what they're going to do, because that would open up a whole new arena for us in terms of exposure and reach, and what we're able to do in terms of marketing and outreach for the company. So that's sort of the number one thing that's popped up on our radar, right now. But aside from that, I mean, our researchers, our product developers are always they're in-house, by the way. All our product development team is in-house, and they basically spend all day, every day, working with manufacturers, working with intellectual property lawyers to sort of come up with proprietary heating techniques, airflow adjustments, all that sort of stuff is just ongoing. But right this second, we are finalizing the sort of next rendition of or next series of our products, because the consumer market moves very quickly. You need to keep up to date with that. Consumers really do demand new updated products quite quickly, actually. And so the main thing we're working on after the XS launch would be finalizing this next the next generation of Dr. Dabber products.
That's exciting. Where can our listeners go to keep up with that evolution?
So drdabber.com is our website, at Dr. Dabber on all socials. So Instagram, Twitter, we're active, and we post a lot of stuff as we sort of, go on with our development. So that would be the best place to check us out. And then also on our website, we have a store locator. So if you wanted to see the products in person, you could just go check and find your closest local head shop or dispensary that carries our products and check them out there as well.
Well, I know I learned a lot from our discussion. I'm sure our listeners did too. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
For all of our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode and you like hearing about emerging cannabis technology, be sure to follow Cannabis Tech Talks on Apple, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also pick up the most recent issue of Cannabis and Tech Today on Barnes & Noble newsstands across the country, or grab a copy for free on CannaTechToday.com. Also, don't forget, MJ BizCon is coming up in November, and we'll be live on site. We're bringing you the latest innovations in CannaTech, and we're offering our annual MJ BizCon prize pack loaded with awesome gear. So we'll be recording a live podcast from the Summit Research and Polyscience booth, number 2417. So come by and see us. That's all for this episode of Cannabis Tech Talks, brought to you by PolyScience. Until next time, stay elevated.
Hey, hello, I'm Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. Wait, you didn't think people would know who I am? Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. No, hey, I don't talk like that. You want me to sell this? Buy it. Try Durachill or else. If you want something really nice in your laboratory, buy Durachill. You can't go wrong.